drive me crazy.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Hope with Alex. I'm Alex, and this is where I give faith-based encouragement for hardships. And I also do Bible studies. Today, I wanted to pop on here really quick about finding the root causes for addiction or poor behavior. So whether it is drug and alcohol addiction, porn addiction, food addiction, or behavioral issues like anger or sadness, this is hopefully going to help you. I'm going to give 4 tips just really quick because I know that COVID's going on right now and it can be so hard to be stuck at home facing your emotions all by yourself. You really start realizing like some behaviors you might not like or some habits that you didn't realize you still have. And I can relate to this because about 2.5 years ago, I started working from home, which really isn't my personality type. And it was very, very hard for me. And it forced me to either choose to rise above my depression and figure out what was going on or stay in it. And unfortunately, it did take me quite a few months to rise above, but I did. And also, if you haven't watched any of my stories and you're new here, I used to be an addict and an alcoholic. So I am also going to be pulling from those experiences for finding the root cause. And it's very important because if you keep running from your emotions, then you're never going to solve them and they're always going to be there for the rest of your life. And that's no way to live. So if you want to get rid of your baggage and you want your, it to be lighter, then this is definitely going to be a good video to at least start giving you a few tips that you can start addressing. So let's dive in. Okay, and before I dive in, I just wanted to remind you that I am not a counselor and these are just my experiences. So definitely seek your own professional help. But know that through watching these videos, you're not the only person that struggles with this. And that's the point of me sharing this with you, is just to remind you that you're not alone. Okay, so that actually leads to my first tip for finding the root cause to issues. It is getting a counselor if you can afford it. And there are free resources out there, even just on a sliding scale, you can get counseling. It's not necessarily just somebody who has money who can get counseling, but I do understand it is hard to get into those free programs. And that's why I'm going to give 3 other tips. But if you can do counseling, I would do counseling because they're really going to help you dive in to the root causes. But I'm going to basically kind of tell you what other counselors have told me to do, or even just what's helped me. So you'll be able to work on this stuff on your own. And I would definitely suggest, obviously if you're an addict, I would suggest working on these things with your sponsor. And if you're not AANA, if this is a porn addiction or a food addiction or anger issues, then I would consult with a mentor or a friend or somebody who is a healthy influence in your life, so that you can kind of have somebody to bounce ideas off of, to get feedback from and to help you heal and be accountable. Because it is really hard to do this alone, and I don't want you to do this alone. I talk about this all the time, but there is somebody in your life, I can guarantee it, that loves you and wants to help you. So you got to just be honest and real with yourself and reach out to those people. Don't be afraid, because truly, if you do not address the root issues, it is going to be extremely hard to heal. Because like I said, I was an ex-addict and alcoholic for about 7 years of my life. And if I didn't deal with the root causes, then when I get triggered, then I would have just gone right back into that addiction. Because if you're not dealing with what's triggering you, then you're not going to be able to move forward, truly. And that is basically kind of what I'm going to get to. My second tip is journal out the triggers or emotions. And what I mean by this is when, say for example, you have an outburst of anger or you feel the urge to drink, I want you to look at the environment that you were in when those things happened, or a circumstance that happened. It could be somebody cut you off when you were driving, and the person, if there was a person involved, what happened with that conversation or what they said or did. And this is actually going to help you figure out what is going on, and it's going to help you realize there are external factors that are playing into me and this poor behavior, and that's gonna help a ton. And the best way to do it is literally just sit down once you've like calmed down, hopefully you didn't relapse, and once the craving passes, sit down and write it out, and then you're gonna start seeing like, oh wow, that actually caused me to feel this way, and it reminded me of my childhood when my dad used to say that to me. And then you're gonna figure out basically what my third tip is, which is look at your childhood, like look at your parents, look at your friends, and look at your behavior or your reaction to things that they did, because a lot of root causes come from our childhood, you guys. So if you can start looking at behaviors that you exhibit today, like right now, how do you react? What are some behaviors you don't like? What are some habits you don't like? And if you start looking at your past, you will truly see that a lot of your triggers came from your childhood. And this is normal for everybody. And it's not playing a blame game on your parents. I want to really be sure about that, because you have to remember parents are human too, and they make mistakes. And I understand that some people's upbringing could be severely different than others, and some parents truly might be terrible people, and I understand that. And I'm not saying that it's okay what they did by any means, but I am suggesting that you forgive them so that you can move on, because if you hold a resentment, it's like you're moving through life, but it still is with you. But if you're able to let go and forgive, then you can move forward without holding on to all this past pain. So there really is power in forgiving. And that's what's going to happen when you start looking at your childhood. You're going to start realizing who triggered you, and you're going to have to start kind of forgiving them in your heart, or actually verbally forgiving them to be able to move on. And yeah, it's hard. I mean, this is actually like not an easy step. But even just for me, like we were raised and we went through a period of time where we didn't have a lot of money. And my family, like they definitely provided, like we still were always involved in sports and going on trips. But as far as other areas, they saved money on clothing, for example. We always got hand-me-downs, and I always remember being jealous of all the girls that had like the Gap sweaters, and I never had one. And truly this triggered me, so that when I was older, like all my money that I earned in high school went towards clothing. And for me, I didn't really realize it, but that was in a way showing myself that, hey, it's okay, you are taken care of now, and you aren't the poor girl that you were in elementary school. And truly, I am saying that example because I still struggle with online shopping. I really do. If you saw my house right now, you would know it's true. And I don't mean to laugh, but at least I know the root cause, and I know that now when I online shop like too much, it's because I'm avoiding something, I'm procrastinating. But when I first got saved, I actually felt the Lord tell me to get rid of all of my clothes and like my designer stuff, everything, because that had become an idol in my life, and it had been a status symbol, because it was proving to myself, like I said, that I wasn't that little girl anymore. So anyways, I got totally convicted. I got rid of basically everything. I'm not kidding. And that was a really healing and big thing that helped me realize that those things don't matter, and that God is my comfort, and it is not the clothing that is going to comfort me. It's God who is going to take care of me. So that really helped. That was a big thing. But so far, he hasn't told me to do that again, and I hope he doesn't, but if it happens, it happens. But my point of sharing that example was just to tell you that a lot of your bad behaviors are probably stemming from the childhood, and you've got to look at those to see what's going on and address them. And this just leads to my last tip, which is to replace the craving or the urge, to act out in anger or use whatever with positive behavior. So a lot of times, once I figured out like what my issues were, I'll just use that same example with clothing. The days that I do good is where I just will wait. I'll wait till tomorrow. So that's one of my tips, is just waiting. And then tomorrow I'll either, if I'm like, okay, I actually do need that item, then I'll buy it. But there might be like 5 other items that I don't need and I'll delete them out of my cart. But with more serious things like addiction, when I used to get cravings, and those kind of honestly, like, it just randomly came out of nowhere. So even though you're trying to be aware of your circumstance and all of that, I mean, addiction triggers can just happen anytime. So you can't really, like, you can kind of prepare for them. Like for me, like I had to stop hanging out with friends that drank. So you can avoid certain triggers that you know 100% are going to make you want to relapse or go into old behavior, but sometimes they happen out of nowhere. And when that happens, I would either go work out, I would go to a meeting, I would, if it was possible, I would go to church, or I would read my Bible, or I would go get a treat. This is like kind of bad because in a way it's replacing one thing with another, but I drank Coca-Cola, like the glass bottle Coca-Colas, I think for almost like a year. Almost every day I drank a Coca-Cola, and that was just kind of like my treat, and it helped me, I don't know how to explain it, but like just go through the day, especially with alcohol addiction. You know, you crave, like sometimes it can be something fizzy, or I don't know, you're just used to something besides water. So I drank Coca-Cola like every day, and slowly like I weaned myself away from that. But shoot, in those first 6 months to a year, it's like, no way. It was just my thing, and it was like, hey, I know this isn't good for me, but at least it's not heroin and cocaine, you know, and alcohol. So my point is, replacing that craving with a positive behavior will help a lot. And then eventually that's going to become a habit, and then that will trump the craving once and for all, or the bad behavior once and for all. So I hope that helps. I feel like it's kind of like a random video, but I just, like I said, I really can relate to just being locked up, being faced with bad habits that you have, being faced with emotions, and it can be crippling. It can be so hard. And I just want to, if anything, encourage you that looking at the root cause of these issues is seriously going to help you start to heal. Because if you keep kind of putting a band-aid over it consistently, you know, it's not gonna heal. It really isn't, because remember, like some cuts, they actually need air to heal. They need to scab up. So think of it that way. Like you've got to expose it. You've got to see what's going on, and then it's not gonna magically heal. It's gonna take a little bit of time, but eventually it is gonna start healing, and it's not gonna be pretty. Like a scab, it is not going to be pretty, you guys. It's going to be hard work, especially looking at those childhood issues. But then, oh, lo and behold, the scab is going to fall off. You're going to have a little scar, but then God willing, that scar will fade and you're going to be okay. And that wound isn't going to be there anymore. That's the biggest thing. The wound is going to be gone. And that means you're going to be healthier. You're not going to be fighting this infection. You know, you're going to be healed, and you're going to be better because you can look at that scar, if it does scar, and be like, you know what, I made it through that. I made it through that super hard behavior, and it's going to be a reminder that you're strong enough to make it through whatever life throws at you in the future. So anywho, I hope this helped you, and just don't think that you're alone. We all have baggage, we all have issues that we have to face, and these things I pray will help you just be able to start chipping away at the root causes of what's going on. So anyways, if you like this video, please leave me a comment below and let me know if there's something else you'd like me to talk about in particular, and I'd be happy to do a video about it. And please subscribe to this channel if you want more faith-based encouragement for hardships and Bible studies. I do Bible studies. We're in the book of Luke, and there's always room for many more. You can jump in at any time, and I would love to see you there. Those are one of my favorite things. They're really fun. It's helping me stay accountable. So like this video, please, if you enjoyed it. God bless you, and I hope you have a great day. Take care. Bye.